Good evening, and welcome to a Euroconnect News special report. While humanity has been gazing upward at rockets piercing the heavens, a far more immediate and consequential frontier has been silently approaching its moment of decision, not in the vacuum of space, but in the crushing, eternal darkness beneath our own planet's waves. We stand at the most critical environmental crossroads since the Industrial Revolution, facing a choice that will define our relationship with Earth's final wilderness, the deep ocean. This is not a story of distant speculation, but of accelerating momentum. Over the next 30 minutes, we will undertake a comprehensive investigation into the scientific, economic, geopolitical, and ethical forces converging between now and 2026, a 24-month window that will determine whether we become enlightened stewards or colonial extractors of our planet's last great frontier. Our story begins with a decision already made. In January 2024, Norway became the first nation on Earth to open its territorial waters for commercial deep-sea mining, targeting the start of extraction by 2025. The approved area spans 280,000 square kilometers in the fragile Arctic, a region already undergoing dramatic transformation from climate change. This was a merely regulatory approval. It was a geopolitical statement of staggering ambition. Norway, a nation that built its wealth on offshore oil, is now positioning itself as the pioneer of the next great resource frontier. The company leading this charge, Loke Marine Minerals, is significantly backed by Lockheed Martin, a defense giant whose involvement signals both the technological challenge and strategic importance of this endeavor. Norway's argument presents a compelling, if controversial, logic. The minerals essential for the global green energy transition, cobalt, nickel, copper, and rare earths, must come from somewhere. They assert that controlled, high-tech extraction from the deep sea is environmentally preferable to the documented horrors of terrestrial mining, the child labor in Congolese cobalt mines, the deforestation from Indonesian nickel operations, the water contamination from Chilean lithium extraction. However, this decision was made in direct contradiction to a plea from over 800 of the world's leading marine scientists. Their warning is unequivocal: we know less about the deep-sea ecosystems of the Arctic than we do about the surface of Mars. Climate change is already rewriting the rules of this environment at an unprecedented pace. To introduce massive industrial disturbance before establishing a baseline understanding is not innovation, but recklessness. The indigenous Sami people, whose culture has depended on Arctic seas for millennia, have filed a lawsuit against the Norwegian state. Their spokesperson articulated the central tension with haunting clarity: you are trading one potential extinction, that of climate change, for another very real one, the destruction of ancient, silent ecosystems that have flourished since before humans walked the earth. You are solving a crisis by creating a catastrophe. The true significance of Norway's move lies not in the 280,000 square kilometers it opens, but in the precedent it sets. 2025 will be a year of intense global observation. If Norway's operations commence without immediate, visible environmental disaster, if the profit margins appear robust and the technical challenge is manageable, a geopolitical domino effect is virtually certain. The United Kingdom is already conducting environmental assessments of the Celtic Sea. Japan, with its advanced maritime technology and pressing need for resource security, will accelerate its specific plans. Canada will face immense internal and external pressure to open its vast offshore territories. Russia, with the largest Arctic coastline, is watching closely. By the end of 2025, what begins in the Norwegian Arctic could legitimize deep-sea mining as a standard global industry, triggering a rush akin to the Klondike Gold Rush, but played out across the fragile ocean floor. While Norway acts unilaterally in its national waters, the fate of the vast international seabed, declared the common heritage of mankind by the United Nations, was thrown into chaos in July 2024. The International Seabed Authority (ISA), the body tasked with regulating mining in international waters, failed to agree on a mining code by its legally mandated deadline. This failure created a dangerous regulatory vacuum. Under a controversial interpretation of the Unconvention on the Law of the Sea, companies can now apply for commercial exploitation licenses under provisional approval, effectively allowing them to proceed while rules are still being debated. This loophole has set the stage for a corporate race to the bottom. The metals company, holding exploration contracts in the Clarion-Clipperton zone of the Pacific, is preparing its application for exploitation. Their publicly stated goal is to begin commercial-scale mining by 2026, extracting polymetallic nodules, potato-sized rocks rich in battery metals from abyssal plains that have remained undisturbed for millions of years. This impending reality places the small island nations of the Pacific in an impossible ethical and economic bind. Consider Nauru, a nation of 10,000 people. Its landscape was utterly scarred by a century of phosphate mining, leaving its economy devastated and its environment in ruins. For Nauru, deep-sea mining represents a form of climate reparations and economic survival. It was Nauru that triggered the ISIS two-year rule, forcing the current regulatory crisis. In stark opposition stands Fiji, leading a coalition of Pacific nations calling for a total moratorium. Fiji's prime minister has become a moral voice on the global stage, arguing, "We cannot save the climate by destroying the ocean. The ocean is our past, our present, and our future. It is not a resource to be mined. It is a relative to be protected." These nations are on the front lines of climate change, facing rising sea levels and intensifying storms. They desperately need the hundreds of billions of dollars promised for climate adaptation. The deep sea, lying in international waters adjacent to their exclusive economic zones, represents a potential source of that revenue, but at the potential cost of their fisheries, their cultures, and their very survival. Independent oceanographic modeling presents a dire projection for 2026 and beyond. The process of mining generates massive sediment plumes that can travel hundreds of kilometers from the mining site. These plumes could smother the fragile filter-feeding organisms that form the base of deep-sea ecosystems. More alarmingly, they could rise into the photic zone, blocking sunlight and affecting the phytoplankton that generate approximately 50% of the planet's oxygen and form the foundation of the global marine food web. The Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that a 30% decline in Pacific tuna stocks, a plausible outcome within 5 years of mining commencement, would result in annual economic losses exceeding $3 billion and threaten food security for millions. The Pacific Showdown is therefore not a regional issue. It is a global one. The decisions made here will resonate in the oxygen we breathe and the food on our plates, creating a collision between immediate economic interests and long-term planetary health. As Western nations and corporations engage in public debate and regulatory fights, China is executing a long-term, state-directed deep-sea strategy with characteristic patience and scale. In March 2024, China's Haidu-2 autonomous underwater vehicle reached a depth of 10,907 meters in the Mariana Trench, a demonstration of world-leading technological prowess. But this is not merely about exploration for prestige. China has established a network of deep-sea monitoring stations and is deploying thousands of sensors across strategic basins. Their 5 exploration contracts with the ESA are among the most promising, covering vast tracts of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Unlike publicly traded Western firms answerable to quarterly earnings, China's deep-sea endeavors are driven by a 50-year national strategy focused on resource security, technological dominance, and strategic positioning. Their approach represents pure state capitalism applied to the ocean frontier, centralized planning, unlimited patient capital, and integration across the entire value chain. China's deep-sea strategy must be understood within its broader ambition to control the entire supply chain for green and digital technologies. It currently dominates the processing of terrestrial critical minerals. By securing access to deep-sea resources, it seeks to future-proof this dominance against resource nationalism and environmental restrictions in other countries. The timeline is methodical, prototype testing through 2025, with the goal of operational commercial-scale mining capability by 2026 to 2027. This presents the West with a stark strategic dilemma: slowing down or imposing a moratorium on deep-sea mining, while environmentally prudent, could seek control of these critical resources to a geopolitical competitor. It creates a scenario where the batteries powering electric vehicles in Europe and America, and the rare earths in their wind turbines and smartphones, become dependent on Chinese-controlled seafloor operations. This is not speculation. It is the logical endpoint of current trajectories, a dependency that would echo Europe's current reliance on Russian gas, but with even greater strategic implications. China's maritime ambitions extend far beyond extraction. Its Maritime Silk Road initiative includes building port infrastructure across the Pacific, Africa, and Latin America. Controlling deep-sea mining complements this perfectly, creating a vertically integrated system from seafloor to smelter to finished product. Chinese state-owned enterprises are developing integrated vessels that can mine, process, and even manufacture components at sea, a floating industrial ecosystem that bypasses national jurisdictions and regulations. By 2026, we may witness a world where the rules of deep-sea activity are not set by multilateral consensus at the ISA, but by the technological and operational standards established by its most active participant. The precedent being set is one of fait accompli, action first, discussion later. In this silent, deep war for resources, the battlefield is 4,000 meters below the surface, and the first mover may gain an unassailable advantage that reshapes not just markets, but the very governance of the global commons. The central, agonizing paradox of this moment is inescapable. The International Energy Agency states that to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement and achieve net zero emissions by 2050, global mineral demand for clean energy technologies must quadruple. A single electric vehicle battery requires around 15 kilograms of cobalt, 40 kilograms of nickel, and 50 kilograms of copper, metals that currently come from terrestrial mines associated with grave human rights abuses and ecological devastation. The deep-sea nodules in the Clarion Clipperon zone contain billions of tons of these very metals, in higher grades than most land-based deposits. The argument from the mining industry is visceral and compelling. Would you rather have a child in Congo mining cobalt by hand, or a machine operating in a dark, largely lifeless abyss? This framing, while powerful, presents a false dichotomy that ignores the third path: radical innovation in both recycling and alternative materials that could fundamentally alter the equation. Beyond the mineral calculus lies an even greater concern: the deep ocean's role as Earth's primary climate regulator, function we are only beginning to fully appreciate. The 2024 Global Ocean Observing System report reveals that the deep ocean absorbs twice as much heat as previously estimated and sequesters 30% of human CO2 emissions through what scientists call the biological carbon pump. This process begins with phytoplankton at the surface absorbing carbon. When they die, their carbon-rich remains sink to the deep ocean as marine snow, where it can remain sequestered for millennia. Mining operations threaten to disrupt this delicate system in two ways. Sediment plumes could block sunlight needed for phytoplankton growth, and direct disturbance could release ancient carbon stores from seafloor sediments. Early modeling suggests that large-scale mining could reduce the ocean's carbon sequestration capacity by 10 to 20%, essentially adding another major emitter to the global system while trying to solve the emissions problem. The period between now and 2026 is not just a regulatory window. It is a critical innovation sprint. 3 technological paths are competing for dominance, and the winner will define our relationship with both the ocean and our energy future. The first path is the brute force method of large-scale seabed scraping, being pioneered by companies like the Metals Company. The second is the surgical approach, exemplified by startups like Impossible Metals, which is developing AI-driven, robotic pickers designed to selectively harvest nodules while leaving the ecosystem largely intact, though at significantly higher cost and lower throughput. The third, and potentially most transformative, path is circularly and alternatives, dramatically improving battery recycling to recover 95% plus of metals, and investing in new battery chemistries like sodium-ion that eliminate the need for cobalt and nickel altogether. The direction of capital in 2025 will be decisive. BlackRock has announced a $500 million ocean investment fund. Breakthrough Energy Ventures is funding ocean carbon capture and alternative material startups. Where this capital flows toward extraction or toward alternatives will determine which future becomes reality by 2026. Emerging alongside these debates is a potentially transformative economic model: blue carbon markets. By protecting and restoring marine ecosystems for their carbon sequestration value, coastal nations could generate substantial revenue. By 2026, this market could be worth $20 billion annually. Research published in Nature in 2023 showed that deep-sea ecosystems, particularly those involving whales and their nutrient cycling, play a crucial role in enhancing phytoplankton growth and thus carbon drawdown. This presents the ultimate business case for preservation. The deep ocean may be more valuable alive, regulating our climate and sequestering carbon. Then it is dead, stripped for minerals that might soon be replaced by alternatives. The choice between being ocean miners or ocean stewards is therefore also a choice between two economic futures, one based on extractive depletion, the other on regenerative services. As we look toward the horizon of 2026, we are not awaiting a distant future. We are living through the decisions that will create it. The equipment being tested today will be on the seafloor tomorrow. The investment decisions made this quarter will determine which corporations dominate the next decade. The legal arguments being crafted in Kingston and New York will become the de facto constitution of the ocean floor, a constitution written not through democratic deliberation, but through corporate lobbying and geopolitical maneuvering. The deep ocean has been our planet's great stabilizer through eons of change. It operates onto mescals of millennia, with species that live for centuries and geological processes that unfold over millions of years. We are introducing an industrial to mescal of quarterly profits and political cycles into this ancient rhythm. The mismatch could be catastrophic, not just for the ocean, but for the climate systems it regulates and the human civilizations that depend on those systems. This reckoning is fundamentally different from exploring space. In space, we are visitors in a true vacuum. In the deep ocean, we are interveners in a complex, living, breathing system that is already under immense stress from warming, acidification, and pollution. We are not discovering a new frontier. We are invading the heart of our own planet's life support system. The question is not whether we can reach it, we can. The question is whether we can resist exploiting it long enough to understand it. The next 2 years will answer the most profound question about our species in the 21st century. Have we matured enough to exercise restraint? Can our economic systems value preservation as highly as extraction? Can our political institutions protect the global commons against the relentless logic of short-term gain? By 2026, the die will be cast. Either we will have established a model of careful, transparent, and accountable stewardship of the deep ocean, recognizing it as the common heritage of all humanity, to be protected and studied for the benefit of all, or we will have unleashed a free-for-all, where the logic of the gold rush prevails, leaving a trail of irreversible damage in the darkness, all for minerals we might soon learn to do without. The deep ocean does not need our light, but it desperately needs our wisdom. The countdown to 2026 has begun. What we do in these next 730 days will echo in the depths for millennia to come. For EuroConnect News, this has been our special report from the frontier beneath our feet. The greatest test of our stewardship is not above us in the stars, but below us in the eternal dark. Thank you for watching.